I'm not marrying some old stranger I don't know.
Then I'm killing all your family members.
I'm just 19, still in college. I'm not ready to get married. Leave my family and I alone.
You're joking.
I was running through the streets of Seoul at midnight, 7 months pregnant, barefoot, with blood staining my white dress. Rain poured down on me like the sky itself was crying. Behind me, I could hear them shouting in Korean, their footsteps getting closer. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst through my chest. I had one hand on my swollen belly, protecting the life inside me, and the other clutching a small USB drive that contained enough evidence to destroy one of the most dangerous men in Asia. How did a girl from Atlanta end up here, running for her life in a foreign country, married to a monster? Let me take you back to where it all started, 4 months earlier. Because what I did, what I was forced to become, nobody saw it coming. Welcome back to the channel, family. Before I continue this story, I need you to do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like icon, because this story right here is going to take you on an emotional roller coaster that will teach you that strength can come from the darkest places. If you're new here, welcome. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Now, let's get back to how my nightmare began. It was a Tuesday afternoon in April. I remember because I had just aced my psychology exam at Georgia State University. I was 19 in my sophomore year, working part-time at a bookstore, living my best life. I came home to our small apartment in East Atlanta around 4 in the evening. The door was already open. That should have been my first warning. I walked in and saw my stepfather, Richard, on the floor, his face swollen and bloody. My mother was in the corner, crying hysterically, and sitting on our worn-out couch like they owned the place were 3 Korean men in expensive suits. The one in the middle was smoking a cigarette, looking bored. "Jasmine, baby, I'm so sorry," Richard groaned from the floor. The man in the middle stood up slowly. He was tall, probably in his 30s, with cold eyes that looked right through me. "You must be Jasmine Carter," he said in perfect English. "My name is Mr. Cho. I work for someone very important. Your stepfather here borrowed a significant amount of money from my employer, $800,000 to be exact." My legs almost gave out. "800,000? What are you talking about?" Richard started sobbing. "I got into some gambling. I thought I could win it back. I thought I could fix it." "You thought wrong," Mr. Cho said. "Now, we have a problem. Your stepfather cannot pay. His life insurance policy wouldn't even cover half. So my employer has offered a solution." I felt sick. "What kind of solution?" Mr. Cho smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You will marry him. You will become his wife. In exchange, your family's debt will be erased, and everyone lives. You have 48 hours to decide." "Are you insane?" I screamed. "I'm not marrying some stranger because this idiot gambled away money he didn't have." Mr. Cho's smile disappeared. He walked over to my mother and placed his hand on her shoulder. She froze in terror. "Let me be clear, Miss Carter. If you refuse, your mother dies first. Then your little brother Marcus. Then your little sister Kennedy. We'll make your stepfather watch each one before we kill him too. And you? You'll live with that guilt forever. Or you get on a plane, you marry Mr. Kwan, you live in luxury, and your family stays alive." 48 hours. They left, just like that. The apartment felt cold, even though it was warm outside. My mother couldn't stop shaking. Richard kept apologizing over and over until I couldn't stand the sound of his voice. I locked myself in my room and cried until there were no tears left. For 2 days, I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I researched everything I could find about Korean Mafia families, about forced marriages, about escape routes. But every scenario ended the same way. If I ran, they'd kill my family. If I refused, they'd kill my family. I had no choice. On the morning of the second day, I called the number Mr. Cho had left. I'll do it, I said, my voice hollow. I'll marry him. Smart girl, Mr. Cho replied. Pack light, you leave tonight. That evening, a black SUV picked me up. My mother held me so tight I could barely breathe. Marcus, who was only 12, tried to be strong, but I saw the tears in his eyes. Kennedy, my 8-year-old sister, didn't understand why I was leaving. When are you coming back, Jazzy? She asked, using her nickname for me. Soon, baby girl. Real soon, I lied. The SUV took me to a private airfield. I was put on a jet with leather seats and a flight attendant who spoke only Korean. Mr. Cho handed me documents written entirely in Korean characters. Sign here, here, and here, he said, pointing. I can't read this. What am I signing? Marriage contract, prenuptial agreement, visa documents. Don't worry about the details. Just sign. I signed my life away at 30,000 feet, somewhere over the Pacific Ocean. 14 hours later, I landed in Seoul. It was dawn. The city looked beautiful from the car window. All modern and clean, nothing like I expected. But I wasn't here as a tourist. I was here as property. They took me to a compound outside the city. When I say compound, I mean a massive estate surrounded by walls and guards. The main house looked like something from a magazine, all modern architecture and glass walls. I was led inside by a woman who didn't speak English. She took me to a bedroom bigger than my entire apartment back home. Mr. Kwan will see you this evening, Mr. Cho said. Rest, eat. Someone will bring you appropriate clothing. I spent the day in that room, numb. I couldn't process what was happening. Around 6 p.m, the woman returned with a beautiful silk dress. She helped me put it on, did my hair, applied makeup. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I looked like a doll being prepared for display. At 7, I was brought to a dining room with a table long enough to seat 20 people. But there was only one man sitting at the head of that table. Kwon Tae-sung, my future husband. He was 45 but looked younger, handsome in that sharp, dangerous way. Expensive suit, perfect hair. Watching me with eyes that showed absolutely nothing. No warmth, no kindness, nothing. Jasmine Carter, he said in accented but clear English. Sit. I sat at the opposite end of the table, as far from him as possible. He smiled slightly. You're beautiful. Much more beautiful than the photographs. Your stepfather's stupidity has brought me a lovely gift. I'm not a gift. I'm a person. Here, you are whatever I say you are, he replied calmly, cutting into his steak. You are my 4th wife. The others learn to be obedient. You will too. My blood went cold. 4th wife? Where are the others? The first one didn't work out. She's no longer with us. The 2nd and 3rd are here. You'll meet them tomorrow. They'll teach you the rules. The way he said she's no longer with us made my skin crawl. This man was a killer. I was sitting across from a killer who now owned me. I want to call my family, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. No, you'll write them letters. I'll read them first. No phones, no internet, no unsupervised contact with the outside world. You belong to me now, Jasmine. The sooner you accept that, the easier your life will be. I wanted to throw my plate at him. I wanted to scream, but I just sat there, trapped. The wedding was 3 days later. It wasn't a celebration. It was a transaction. A few of his associates attended, all men, watching me like I was entertainment. There was no music, no dancing, no joy. I wore a white dress that cost more than my college tuition and said vows in Korean that I didn't understand. Tae-sung put a ring on my finger that felt like a shackle. When it was over, I was officially Mrs. Kwan, his property. That first night as his wife, I learned what kind of man Tae-sung really was. He was cruel. He was violent. He took what he wanted without caring about anything I felt. I survived by going somewhere else in my mind, by pretending I wasn't really there. When it was over, He left without a word. I lay in that massive bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was how I would die. Slowly, piece by piece, until there was nothing left of Jasmine Carter. The next morning, I met the other wives. Wife number 2 was Mei Lin, a Chinese woman around 30. Wife number 3 was Preeti from India, maybe 25. Both of them looked at me with pity. "Welcome to hell," Mei Lin said quietly in English. We were in a sitting room, having tea, like this was normal. Rule number 1, never disobey him, ever. Rule number 2, Preeti added, never question where he goes or what he does. Rule number 3, Mei Lin continued, never try to leave. The last girl who tried, they found her body in the Han River. I felt dizzy. So we just accept this? We just live like prisoners? We live, Preeti said simply. That's all we can do. Live and hope he gets bored with us before he kills us. But I couldn't accept that. I wouldn't. Over the next few weeks, I watched everything. I learned the layout of the compound. I learned the guard schedules. I learned that Tae-sung was more than just a criminal. He ran one of the largest organized crime operations in Asia. Drugs, weapons, human trafficking. He had politicians on his payroll, police chiefs, judges. He was untouchable, and he loved to brag about it. That was his weakness, his massive ego. Whenever he had business associates over, he'd parade me around like a trophy. "My American wife," he'd say. "Isn't she beautiful?" And then he'd talk about his empire like he was discussing a legitimate business. He felt so secure and powerful that he didn't see me as a threat. I was just a pretty decoration. I started asking questions, playing dumb. "Wow, you're so smart. How do you manage all this?" He'd smile and explain, show me documents, introduce me to important people. He thought I was impressed. He thought I was falling in love with power, but I was memorizing everything, every name, every location, every illegal operation. 2 months into the marriage, I discovered I was pregnant. I threw up in the bathroom, staring at the positive test, feeling like my world had ended all over again. But when I told Tae-sung, his reaction surprised me. He was thrilled. "A son," he said, touching my stomach like it was treasure. "You'll give me a son, an heir." For the first time since I arrived, he was almost gentle with me. Pregnancy made me valuable, made me important, and most importantly, it made me less monitored. Pregnant women need doctor visits. They need fresh air. They need to move around. The tight leash loosened just a little. Just enough. I started talking more to Mei Lin and Preeti. One afternoon, when the guards were changing shifts, Mei Lin pulled me into her room and locked the door. "I need to show you something," she whispered. From under her mattress, she pulled out a folder filled with documents, photographs, recordings. "I've been collecting evidence for 3 years. Everything he's done, every crime, every murder, every bribe." I stared at her in shock. "Why haven't you done anything with this?" Tears filled her eyes. "Because I'm a coward. I'm terrified, because even if I went to the police, half of them work for him. I'd be dead before sunset. But maybe because you're American, maybe you have a chance." "We have a chance," I corrected her. "All of us." That's when Preeti joined us. She'd been listening at the door. "If we're doing this, we do it together. 3 of us are stronger than 1. And that's how the plan started. 3 women from 3 different countries, all trapped by the same monster, decided to fight back. Mei Lin had the financial documents. Preeti had access to Tae-sung's computer systems because he sometimes made her type up contracts. And I had something they didn't. I had American citizenship. I had diplomatic protection. I had a way to contact the outside world. Through Tae-sung's lawyer, a man named Park, who seemed to have some shred of conscience left. I managed to get a message out. It took weeks of careful planning. I told Park I needed to register my baby's citizenship with the American Embassy. That wasn't unusual for international marriages. He agreed to take me, but instead of just going to the embassy, I requested a private meeting. And that's where I met Agent Rebecca Torres from Interpol. She'd been investigating Tae-sung for 6 years. She had pieces of the puzzle, but never enough to prosecute. When I told her what we had, when I showed her samples of Mei Lin's evidence, her eyes went wide. "This could take him down," she said. "All of them, his entire network. But I need everything, and I need testimony from all 3 of you. Can you do that?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. "But we need protection for us and our families. You'll have it, I promise." Over the next month, we worked in absolute secrecy. Mei Lin copied every financial document. Preeti downloaded files from Tae-sung's encrypted servers. And I wore a wire, a tiny, sophisticated recording device disguised as a piece of jewelry. Every conversation with Tae-sung, every meeting with his associates, every confession of criminal activity, all recorded. But we had a close call. Tae-sung's head of security, a man named Kim, started watching me suspiciously. One night, he searched my room while I was at dinner. He found some photographs I'd printed, evidence of a drug shipment route. I came back to find him holding them. "What are these?" he demanded. My heart stopped. I was 7 months pregnant. I couldn't run. I couldn't fight. I was caught. But before Kim could say another word, he grabbed his chest and collapsed. Mei Lin stood in the doorway, holding an empty syringe. "Poison," she said calmly. "Fast acting. He's dead. We need to move his body." We staged it as a heart attack. Kim had high blood pressure. It was believable. But it was a wake-up call. We were running out of time. Tae-sung was getting suspicious. We needed to act fast. The opportunity came 2 weeks later. Tae-sung was hosting a massive gala at the compound. International crime bosses, corrupt politicians, business tycoons who laundered money. Everyone who mattered in his world would be there. It was the perfect trap. Agent Torres and her team planned the raid down to the second. We made sure every room was wired with hidden cameras. Every conversation would be recorded. And at exactly midnight, when all the guests were deep in discussion about their illegal operations, Interpol would strike. The night of the gala, I wore a long, elegant dress that hid my pregnant belly. Wore the wire jewelry. Mei Lin and Preeti played their roles as perfect, obedient wives. We smiled, we served drinks, we listened, and we recorded everything. Tae-sung was in his element, showing off, making deals, discussing shipments of weapons to conflict zones, bribing a senator from the Philippines, arranging for girls to be trafficked from Thailand. It was disgusting, but it was also perfect evidence. At 11:45, I excused myself to use the bathroom. I sent the signal to Agent Torres. At 11:58, Preeti quietly unlocked the back gates. At midnight exactly, the compound lit up with spotlights and sirens. "This is Interpol. Nobody move." The chaos was instant. Guests tried to run, but every exit was blocked. Tae-sung's guards tried to fight, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. I watched from the balcony as Agent Torres herself put handcuffs on Tae-sung. He looked up and saw me standing there. The realization hit him like a truck. "You," he said, his voice filled with rage and disbelief. "You did this." I walked down the stairs slowly, one hand on my belly. Mei Lin and Preeti stood beside me. 3 wives, 3 survivors, 3 warriors. "Yes," I said clearly. "I did this. We did this. You thought we were weak. You thought we were nothing. But we brought down your entire empire. Every person here is going to prison. Every operation you run is finished. And me? I'm going home." He lunged at me, but 4 agents grabbed him. "I'll kill you," he screamed. "I'll kill your family. I'll kill your baby." "No," Agent Torres said, pushing him toward the door. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison. You're done. They took him away, along with everyone else. Over 50 arrests that night, the largest organized crime bust in Asian history. And I was the star witness, Mei Lin and Preeti too. We testified in court for weeks. We told everything, every crime, every victim, every horror. Tae-sung's lawyers tried to destroy us on the stand. They called us liars. They said we were scorned women making up stories. But we had evidence, mountains of evidence, financial records, recordings, video footage, testimony from other victims we'd helped find. The case was airtight. The day the verdict came down, I was 8 months pregnant, sitting in that courtroom with my mother and siblings beside me. Mei Lin and Preeti sat with their families too. We'd all been relocated, new identities, protected witnesses. When the judge said guilty on all counts, life in prison without possibility of parole, I finally felt like I could breathe. Tae-sung looked at me one last time as they led him away. You're dead, he mouthed. I smiled and placed my hand on my belly. No, you are. 3 weeks later, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Not a son, a daughter. I named her Liberty, because that's what she represented. Freedom, hope, a new beginning. My mother was there. Marcus and Kennedy were there. And Mei Lin and Preeti were there too. We'd become more than friends. We'd become sisters, survivors who'd fought together and won. Now, 1 year later, I'm 21 years old. I'm finishing my degree in criminal justice. Liberty is learning to walk. We live in a small house in North Carolina under protected identities. Marcus is doing great in school. Kennedy still calls me Jazzy. My mother smiles again. Richard, well, he's not part of our lives anymore. Some debts you don't forgive. Last week, I got a letter forwarded through my lawyer. It was from Tae-sung, pages of rage and threats and promises of revenge. But here's what he doesn't know. He has no power anymore. His organization is destroyed. His money is seized. His connections are in prison. He's just a forgotten old man in a cell. I recorded a video response and had it delivered to him. In it, I'm holding Liberty. I'm in my cap and gown from my graduation ceremony. I'm smiling, really smiling. You wanted to break me, I say into the camera. You wanted to own me. You wanted to destroy me. But look at me now. I'm free. I'm strong. I'm educated. I'm a mother. I'm everything you tried to prevent me from being. You're in a cage, and I'm just starting to live. You didn't break me, Tae-sung. I broke you, and I'll spend every day of my life making sure men like you can never hurt women like us again. I'm now working with an organization that helps victims of forced marriage and human trafficking. I share my story. I help other women escape. I fight. Because that 19-year-old girl who got on that plane thinking her life was over, she didn't die. She transformed. She became a warrior. And she won. So if you're watching this and you're in a dark place, if you feel trapped, if you feel hopeless, listen to me. You're stronger than you know. You're braver than you think. And you can survive anything. I'm living proof. Jasmine Carter, the girl who was forced to marry a mafia boss and did the unthinkable. I didn't just survive. I conquered. That's my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this touched your heart. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. And remember, you're never as powerless as someone wants you to believe. Until next time, stay strong.